Hey everyone, Daniel here, and welcome to Chapter 3, The 7 Wonders of Power. This week's chapter coincides with the new moon phase. As we begin to work with our magical energy, we begin to sense the natural ebb and flow of our energy field in relationship to the moon phases. Tonight is the new moon, or in witchcraft traditions, dark moon. We literally face the darker side of the moon and the darker side of our vulnerabilities. And in the total darkness and the absence of light, even our shadow falls out of sight. But our shadow hasn't left us, it's actually retreated into us. In fact, it fortifies us, it secures us. It makes us, some of us, it makes us hyper-aware, hypersensitive, hyperactive, both physically and magically. For others, we will be as calm as a windless sea, a shimmering ocean of stars that extends into the horizon, the mirror reflection of heaven itself. Dark moon is the promise of a new moon cycle. 3 nights from tonight, the new witch's moon will hang in the sky. It's going to be growing a little bit larger as the days pass. Think of it as a closed closet door, and as it starts to open, the light, an arc of light, just starts to expand until it's full again. And as that happens, as the light grows, your shadow then extends out as well, making you the perfect compass, really, because your shadow is always going to point the direction of true light, and you're going to know where you stand in contrast to darkness. Just because there's an absence of light does not mean there's an absence of form and fortitude. This is what our beloved shadow tells us. I haven't left your side. All that I am is now inside you and will always be. Last week in Chapter 2, The 7 Wonders of Mythology, we began excavating the character traits others have assigned to our character in order for us to detect our true character traits and our true secret magical origin story. Throughout the course of our lives, we determine our own personal ethics, ideas, beliefs based on personal experiences and the experiences of others. It's perfectly natural to consider taking on others' opinions and agree to accept them as truth. But if we take on the truth of too many other people, our own truth becomes lost in the crowd, until it resembles a leery, risky stranger that we kind of want to dodge to stay away from. As mystics, healers, empaths, psychics, and witches, we can become tone deaf to the signs that point us to our true secret identity, especially if we were raised in an environment that discouraged or frowned upon the occult. If our gifts are not acknowledged as promising, they can never develop into the promise of their full potential. The thing is, our promising gifts don't vanish, they wait. In a hiding place a little bit more ominous and a little bit more substantial than a dark moon. Your witchcraft is hiding in the closet. The broom closet. In my experience, there's not a more contrary concept that triggers two opposing forces so thoroughly, so frequently, and so reliably. As children, we spend huge chunks of our time playing in them, only to switch to complete terror of that exact same closet come bedtime. As adults, our reasoning alters, but the contradictions continue. We avoid cleaning them out. Any normal house-settling noise is ignored unless it seems to be coming from the closet, which sends a little wave of goosebumps across us. And yet, the minute a severe storm warning issues, we go right into the closet. Closets are places of immense power. They keep our belongings safe and protected from the elements. They keep our personal things out of the sight and out of the reach of others. We throw shit we don't want to see in them. Closets are private, and closet doors usually remain closed for that exact same reason. It's no coincidence that people with alternative sexual preferences or gender identifications are referred to as being in the closet or coming out of the closet. It takes a tremendous amount of courage and a lot of thought to even crack the door open, let alone step out of it. On the other hand, we may know very well what lurks in that closet, and our fear may have us convinced that, it's going to blow the door open and suck us into the gates of hell, and we're going to be like holding onto our headboard like Carol Ann in Poltergeist. The trauma and fear of actually opening our closet door from the outside can lead us into sheer denial. What closet? There's no closet in my room. There's no closet in my house. There's no closet in my life. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm in no way advocating that anyone come out of the closet, be it your sexual preference or to go on social media and announce to everyone that you're now identifying as a witch. That's a very, very personal decision, and it requires a lot of time and a lot of thought before making that decision. What I am suggesting is that you actually go into the broom closet of your consciousness. Check it out and maybe even play. Use your imagination to see what's in it. In the broom closet of your consciousness, you're going to find all those gifts that were a little bit too fragile to come out. And you and your shadow are going to have time privately to sort of play around with those things. You can say things like, for example, I always lead with my empathic abilities, but I'd really kind of like to learn tarot. And your shadow hears that and will start engaging with you, because now you're entering your imagination and you're visualizing. And then, a few days later, a friend comes over with a gift bag, and you open it up and there's a deck of tarot cards in there. Try it. It will happen. Again, unlocking our true potential can be exhilarating, but it can also be very frustrating, and it does require a lot of patience. Because one emotion that is going to be following you along the entire way and nipping at your heels as you're doing this is anger. Anger. We all experience it. And I'm sure everyone has met and gotten to know anger's charming twin, fear. Both highly dramatic and equally dreadful to be around. Yet we are far more hospitable, compassionate, and sympathetic with fear. Because deep down, fear means well and holds some fundamental truth and devout loyalty to us. Seeing through fear's knee-jerk reactions takes practice and skill, but we usually surrender to the exploration of our fear while we discount, dismiss, and devalue our anger. In fact, upon arriving in Alcoholics Anonymous, I was informed that anger was the culprit that triggers all alcoholic relapse. Anger is our enemy and must be uprooted permanently. Well, that pissed me off. First of all, even though I maintain a relatively even keel in most of life's pie-in-the-face scenarios, if I move to escalate in defense, my anger fuels me in a fierce wall of fire. We deny anger. We medicate anger. We do everything but listen to it. Shame and guilt play hard against our anger, and that's understandable. Anger is neither pleasant nor attractive. It's blunt, aggressive, rageful. But like fear, anger's twin, our anger is honest and fiercely loyal to us. In the artist way, Julia Cameron brought this truth to light, which was especially life-saving for me, largely in part because she outed herself as a longtime member of AA. Here was someone willing to face anger, honestly, not cipher it off as a character defect, rather, listen to anger for what it is, one of our best, closest friends. When we act out in anger, we are venting to a deaf audience. Anger doesn't want to be ignored. Anger doesn't want to be calmed or patronized. Anger does not want to be talked down to or walked away from. And anger really doesn't want another fucking drink. Those things just make anger angrier. The only way to stop anger's relentless attacks is to listen to what anger is telling us and act on it. Anger is meant to be acted on, not acted out. Because my anger really was screaming, I'm so fucking pissed because I can't control my drinking. That anger neutralized because I took a straightforward, hardcore, no bullshit action step by walking into AA. Anger rages in proportion and can sometimes be judged as childish nonsense. We surrender to compromise or take the high road because little things are not worth losing sleep over. If you have a spouse, kids, or roommates, this is where the high road can lead to slippery terrain. If your privacy and boundaries are fully respected while you're working, but your shadow pages, sessions, or meditation rituals are not. We hold our tongues and our tempers until our sacred time moves to the back burner and our tempers blow like a pressure cooker left unattended. No one around you knows what they did wrong. They did not do anything wrong. Your anger is always in opposite proportion to your dignity and self-respect. Anger hits you in the gut. Even the red flags your old pal anger uses to jolt your attention hit you in the gut. Your logic will attempt to reason you away from anger, and your heart will wax with romantic notions that will create a temporary mirage of all for one and one for all. When the honest, clean and clear action is to simply say, I need this time for myself, and I'll be free at, and communicate clearly when you're available. Anger is thereby respected, acted on, and taken off right away. Learning to work with your anger is tough. It's not for the lighthearted, although listening and acting on your anger will yield lasting lightness of heart. Really, your anger is actually your closest, most protective, tough love friend. It's time to extend some sympathy and lend an ear that only a good friend can offer. Then brace yourself for the inflow of magic and transformation that follows. The power your anger has saved and strengthened will now be returned back to you. As the moon returns to us, we draw our power back. We are not exercising anger. We are alchemizing anger into the fuel that it actually is. This week's spell work and tasks. Number 1, 7 shadow rages. Make a list number 1 to 7. Next to each, write I'm so fucking pissed off because, and write out 7 things you are currently or secretly angry about. This list will range from obvious sources, the pandemic, the environment, can't work, can't travel, can't see my family, or I'm fucking trapped with all of them. These things are huge and beyond the influence of our control. Other shadow rages may be more personal and private. Those mild but always present annoyances. I'm fucking pissed because Jacob is doing the spell work every day and every night and bragging about it all over social media, and I'm sick of reading about it and having it rubbed in my face. All of us have way more shadow rages than these first 7. But working with our rage requires a delicate, practiced hand. More than 5, but less than 10 is really the best way to batch shadow work rage. And all of the tasks of the 7 wonders. Because this tool, like all the others, you can practice for the rest of your life. Next, 7 calls to action. Looking at your 7 shadow rages, now intuit the messages and implement a practical action step. I'm fucking pissed because Jacob is doing spell work every day and every night and bragging about it all over social media, and I'm sick of reading about it and having it rubbed in my face. The message and action here are really straightforward. Spend less time on social media and spend more time at the cauldron. 7 sympathies. Among your list of rages, there will be things you honestly can't change and have to accept. In these cases, the action step is sympathy. Pulling from those items in your 7 shadow rages that are beyond your control, simply give yourself permission to cry. Seriously, you're hurt. A good private cry for a really long time can actually go a long way in helping you feel better, especially if you've judged your shadow rage as too childish to explore or notice. This is not an exercise to form a habit of egocentric self-pity, sitting around feeling sorry for ourselves. Our egos, in fact, sometimes work in overtime, in reverse, telling us your pitiful problems aren't worth anyone else's time, therefore not worth your time. Actually, thoughts like that will lead us further into depression. Sympathy is comforting, nourishing, rooted in empathy, and acknowledges loss. Give yourself a break and go cry a little. Next, practical magic. 7 simple things. An overburdened witch is an ineffective, unhappy witch. When we feel the weight and pressure of the outside world closing in, despite all of our meditations, protection spells, and empty calls to our guides, we sense when we are losing all control of ourselves and our magic. There is another 12-step mantra that comes into play. Easy does it. In other words, taking it easy on ourselves, we will accomplish things. But here's the catch. You have to do it. Make a list of 7 simple, everyday household things you can actually achieve. Doing chores, showering, washing dishes. These little cues send a signal to your beloved shadow that you care for it. And your shadow will inspire you with quiet, creative solutions as you do so. How many times have you come up with a great spell, a problem solution, or a creative project while pulling weeds? Simple, mindless chores are actually signals of self-care, because achieving small, doable things are still indeed accomplishments. Here's my sample list. Feel free to borrow any or all of it if you're having trouble getting started. Number 1, make my bed every morning. Number 2, get a new toothbrush this week. 3, clean out the fridge and stock it with healthier food. 4, check on my elderly neighbor. 5, order something online from a local shop to show community support. 6, get dressed today even though I'm not leaving the house. 7, this one is mandatory. Clean out your closet. Throw out every single piece of low self-worth muggleware and donate it to the local homeless shelter. This household clearing practice is highly responsive and energetic. It clears out old energy and makes room for new energy and items more appropriate for your new emerging identity. Next, speaking of closets, broom closet magic. Every witch I know has an incredible broom closet, a secret nook or special place that houses magical tools, herbs, ritual artifacts, amazing books, and serves as a place of ceremony and ritual. Identify either an overstuffed junk closet, nook, or spare room. If none of that is feasible, then a special place on a bookshelf will work great. Or section off a small space in another room with a sheet or curtains. A special private place just for you and your beloved shadow and your witchcraft. I'm sitting in my garage as I'm writing this because it's my broom closet. In fact, it's christened the Spinning Pitchfork. Our broom closet should feel safe, private, exciting, and personal. We need the retreat of our closets for our magical work, play, and protection. If you already have a broom closet but haven't peeked inside for a while, now's the time. Easy does it, but do it. All right, next, witchcraft, casting and receiving. How does the saying go? Faith without works? Why go to the trouble of casting an elaborate, multi-day, super complicated spell if you don't understand how to catch the desired results? Same goes for a simple prayer. I'm not going to elaborate any further on this last bit of magic. This is a test, a practice of fundamental spell work. To prepare, all you need to do is to raise and focus all your skepticism. Once there, focus and direct it back into the heart of your skepticism, especially if you're circling magic, just starting, or have been off and on for a couple of years or somewhere in between. Divide a page in your Shadow Pages journal into 3 vertical sections. Name the first section 7 wishes cast, then number 1 through 7 and make 7 wishes as fast as you can. Name the middle section catches. Each time a wish manifests, list the catch results here. Be specific about the circumstances and be open to and aware of all synchronicity. It may take minutes, a few days, or a few months. If it's a big wish that takes a few years, when you circle back and see this list, you are seriously going to shit your pants and see your power. Just remember, your wishes are for you and you alone. They should not involve specific results or influence someone else's destiny. Name the third section misses. It's startling how fast this list will populate. To quote Julia Cameron, in my experience, more people fear that there actually might be a God instead of being afraid that there isn't one. Let alone, God is listening and working with you. Sheer creative energy is ultra-charged, almost frenetic in its intensity, while being blatantly, contrarily subtle all at the same time. Something big comes our way, but in an everyday, non-dramatic way. And what I've done more times than I care to admit is dismiss it as, that's not the way it was supposed to happen, or treat it like I never wanted it to begin with and just shoo it away. Keep track of this list until the end of the 7 wonders, and have fun with this. All right, and that's a wrap for Chapter 3, the 7 Wonders of Power. Now remember, in addition to all these, the spell work and the tasks for this week, to continue with your shadow work, the basic tools, you want to be writing in your Shadow Pages journal every day, 3 pages. You want to do a shadow dance, at least 20 minutes, 1 night a week. You want to get yourself out on a vision quest. Do whatever the fuck you want to do. You don't have to leave the house to do this. You just want to spend some time with yourself. Give yourself an hour. Maybe read a book or something. What else? Yes. All of this week's spells and assignments are available on the blog post for Chapter 3, The 7 Wonders of Power at danielling.com. You can print all this out and keep it handy with you to refer to it throughout the week. Also, maybe this is a good time to let you know, I know I'm giving you a lot of different options each chapter. If you don't feel like you have to do all of them, maybe pick a couple. Maybe pick the one that seems like the most fun, and maybe pick the one that seems like you're the most resistant to. You can also find bonus material and additional video content on the blog associated with this chapter, Chapter 3, The 7 Wonders of Power. Join me next week, Saturday, November 21st, as we launch Chapter 4, The 7 Wonders of Abundance. Until then, take care of yourselves, clean out your broom closet, and I'll see you at the rainbow's edge.